As 12 teams prepare for the playoffs, the other 20 begin looking ahead to the 2017 NFL Draft in earnest. This week's mock draft explores how things could play out over 2 rounds. What it shows is a draft class that is largely going to be reliant on underclassmen going pro. Even if all of the players projected below to enter the draft, the choices after the top 50 dropped off dramatically in talent.
Next week's mock draft will look at some trades that could take place that will reshape the first round. For now, a standard 2-round mock.
1. Cleveland Browns, Myles Garrett, Delaware, Texas A&M. Garrett announced his intention to enter the draft on Saturday night after a stellar 3-year college career that included 32.5 sacks and 48.5 tackles for loss. He's the clear-cut best player in the draft. Just don't let his comments about preferring not going to a team that plays in cold weather change the pick. In announcing his decision, Garrett said, "I will play for any NFL team that gives me a chance, and Cleveland should be that team." 2. San Francisco 49ers, Mitch Trubisky, QB, North Carolina. The merits of Trubisky going this high will be argued for the next 4 months, assuming he declares. But with San Francisco starting fresh with the new general manager and head coach, they can go full rebuild with the quarterback high in the first round. 3. Chicago Bears, Jonathan Allen, DT, Alabama. Allen might not fill in Chicago's biggest need, and they're going to scout the heck out of Trubisky, Notre Dame's Deshaun Kaiser and Clemson's Deshaun Watson, but his value even at number 3 overall is too great to pass up.
4. Jacksonville Jaguars, Jamal Adams, LSU. In LSU's dominating 29-9 Citrus Bowl win, Adams was overwhelmingly the best player on the field. For Jacksonville, he could quickly slide into the strong safety position. Having him in the secondary would make players like Tashawn Gibson and Jalen Ramsey better.
5. Tennessee Titans, Los Angeles Rams, Mike Williams, WR, Clemson. With the impressive depth at cornerback in this year's draft, the Titans can wait until they pick again at number 18 to fix the position. At number 5 they could go after Williams, the draft's best receiver. He could be a Dez Bryant-like threat in Tennessee. 6. New York Jets, Leonard Fournette, RB, LSU. The Jets remain a mess at quarterback, but drafting a star runner like Fournette could totally shift the focus of the offense. 7. San Diego Chargers, Malik Hooker, Ohio State. A few weeks ago Hooker said he would be back at Ohio State next season. After losing to Clemson in the Fiesta Bowl, he said he wants to talk his pro decision over with coaches and family. It's hard to see why Hooker wouldn't get a first-round draft grade despite starting just a season with the Buckeyes. His speed closing on the ball is elite, and the egg-read comparisons aren't unfounded. 8. Carolina Panthers, Garrett Barnett, Delaware, Tennessee. With no offensive linemen in this draft being worth a top 10 pick, the Panthers could be a team hoping to trade down. If they stick here, they could find a pass rusher who could replace the producing of Mario Addison if he prices himself out of town in free agency.
9. Cincinnati Bengals, Reuben Foster, MLB, Alabama. Barnett would have been the ideal choice for Cincinnati, but with him gone there isn't a defensive end with the same value as Foster. Alabama's latest star linebacker could slot right into a start job inside for the Bengals. Another name to consider here is Washington's John Ross, a wide receiver who can get separation and take pressure off A.J. Green.
10. Buffalo Bills, Deshaun Watson, QB, Clemson. The Bills seem to be done with Tyrod Taylor, and Cardale Jones is a big project. Watson could be an option in the first round for whoever the Bills hire as a head coach. 11. New Orleans Saints, Solomon Thomas, Delaware, Stanford. The draft stock of Thomas is skyrocketing, and if he chooses to go pro he could very well land this high. It's clear the Saints need pass rush help this offseason, and Thomas could provide it.
12. Cleveland Browns, via Philadelphia Eagles, Jabril Peppers, Michigan. The Browns have so many holes, you could argue about 5 different players here. The team cycled through several safeties this season, and failed to find one who could consistently make plays. Peppers could be a player the Browns use all over the field. 13. Arizona Cardinals, Deshaun Kaiser, QB, Notre Dame. Kaiser is a perfect fit for Arizona's offense and could be the heir apparent to 37-year-old Carson Palmer.
14. Philadelphia Eagles, by Minnesota Vikings, Marlon Humphrey, CB, Alabama. The Eagles have gone years without drafting a highly rated cornerback, and the lack of secondary talent really shows. They could get their pick of cover men, and Humphrey is arguably the best. 15 Indianapolis Colts, Tim Williams, OLB, Alabama. With Robert Nath's stellar career over, the Colts could find his replacement in Williams. He's a speedy pass rusher with production and good athleticism. 16 Baltimore Ravens, tack Earnest McKinley, OLB, UCLA. Terrell Subb's career is winding to a close, and fellow pass rusher Elvis Dumervil could be a salary cap casualty. McKinley is a talented player who would fit because he can play standing up or with his hand down. 17 Washington, John Ross, WR, Washington. With rumors swirling that Deshaun Jackson could be headed back to Philadelphia, why not add the player who could be passed off as his clone? 18 Tennessee Titans, Quincy Wilson, CB, Florida. This is where waiting on a cornerback pays off for the Titans. At 18, they could have their pick of either Florida cornerback or either Ohio State cornerback, assuming they go pro. 19 Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Corey Davis, WR, Western Michigan. Davis can be the type of number 2 wide receiver the Buccaneers need to take the pressure off of Mike Evans. 20 Denver Broncos, Dalvin Cook, RB, Florida State. If Cook happens to slip in the draft, a team like the Broncos needs to pounce. He's a stellar all-around running back who will be effective as a runner and pass catcher. 21 Detroit Lions, Malik McDowell, DT, Michigan State. The Lions could choose to stay local and fill a big need with McDowell. He's the type of penetrating defensive lineman their defense needs. Pairing him next to Ashawn Robinson could give Detroit a great pair on the inside for years. 22 Miami Dolphins, Teez Tabor, CB, Florida. Miami has a good young piece of cornerback in last year's second-round pick Xavier Howard, but not the true number 1 guy like Tabor could be. 23 New York Giants, Cam Robinson, OT, Alabama. The Eric Flowers experiment has been rocky. If Robinson slides into the 20s, the Giants could grab him to play left tackle while deciding whether Flowers can be moved to guard or, perhaps more likely, the right side. 24 Oakland Raiders, Zach Cunningham, LB, Vanderbilt. Oakland can continue adding high-end talent on defense with a player like Cunningham. He's a capable middle linebacker with length and smarts. 25 Houston Texans, Jarrad Davis, LB, Florida. If Davis gets drafted to a place like Houston, or even Oakland, his NFL position is likely to be a middle linebacker. That's the case here, where the Texans need to get better up the middle on defense. 26 Green Bay Packers, O.J. Howard, TE, Alabama. Green Bay has gotten a minimal amount of production out of its tight ends this season, and a player like Howard could be a perfect fit. 27 Seattle Seahawks, Ryan Ramczyk, OT, Wisconsin. Ramczyk has positioned himself as the number 2 offensive tackle prospect this year, and fills Seattle's big need up front. 28 Pittsburgh Steelers, Brian Anderson, OLB, Alabama. The Steelers could be going after a pass rusher yet again this offseason, and could land one with Anderson. He's not as natural of a blitzer as his Alabama teammate Williams, but his skills should translate to the NFL just fine. 29 Atlanta Falcons, Caleb Brantley, DT, Florida. Jonathan Babineau and Tyson Jackson could be gone in Atlanta after this season, and if they are the Falcons will look to draft a player early to fit up front. Brantley is a disruptive tackle who can do many of the things Babineau did in his prime. 30 Kansas City Chiefs, Buda Baker, S., Washington. Once again, safety could become a big need for the Chiefs if Eric Berry happens to leave Kansas City in free agency. Baker excels in coverage, and isn't afraid to get into the mix against the run. 31 New England Patriots, Carl Lawson, /OLB, Auburn. After trading Chandler Jones before last year's draft, the Patriots were left without a bona fide pass rush star. Lawson could be that player thanks to his athleticism and speed off the edge. 32 Dallas Cowboys, Marshawn Lattimore, CB, Ohio State. Lattimore wouldn't talk about his draft plans following Ohio State's blow loss to Clemson, but if he goes pro he's almost guaranteed to be a top 40 pick. For Dallas, he profiles as a lockdown cornerback thanks to his size and quickness.